My first day in Italy, arrival and the first steps. Today, I want to tell you a story. It's about the moment I left my home country to start a new life in Italy. My first day, my first steps in a new country, my first feelings, fears, and hopes. Arrival at the airport. The plane landed slowly on the runway. The sound of the wheels touching the ground felt unreal to me. After hours of flying, I was finally here. Italy. I looked out of a small airplane window. The sky was bright blue. The sunlight was warm and soft. I felt a mix of excitement and nervousness in my chest. My name is Sarah. I'm a university student, and I had just arrived in Italy to start my master's degree. I had received a full scholarship. My tuition was covered. My dormitory was already arranged. But still, everything felt new and unknown. When I stood up to leave the plane, my hands were shaking a little. Not because I was scared, but because this moment felt big. This was the beginning of a new chapter of my life. Immigration and first impressions. I walked through the long hallway of the airport. People were speaking Italian around me. I could hear different accents and languages. Some people were talking fast. Some were laughing. Some were looking at their phones. I followed the signs. Passport control. Arrivals. Baggage claim. At passport control, the officer looked at my passport and visa. He asked me a few simple questions. Why are you in Italy? For studying, I answered. How long will you stay? 2 years. My heart was beating fast, but my voice stayed calm. When the officer stamped my passport, I felt relief. I was officially in Italy now. After that, I went to pick up my suitcase. I stood near the moving belt and waited. People around me were hugging their families. Some were meeting friends. Some were alone just like me. When I saw my suitcase, I smiled. It was real. I was really here. Leaving the airport. As I walked out of the airport building, fresh air touched my face. The city felt alive. Cars were moving fast. People were walking in different directions. The sound of voices, engines, and footsteps filled the air. I stopped for a moment. I took a deep breath. I told myself, you did it. You are here. This is your new life. I checked my phone. I had the address of my university and my dormitory. The dormitory was near the university campus. But first, I needed to go to the city center. Then I would take another bus to the campus area. First time using public transport. The airport was connected to the city by train and bus. I decided to take the train. It was faster and cheaper. At the ticket machine, I felt a little confused. The language was Italian. I understood some words, but not all of them. I looked around and saw a young woman standing nearby. I took a deep breath and asked, "Excuse me, can you help me please?" The woman smiled kindly. "Yes, of course." I showed her the screen. "I want to go to the city center." She explained which button to press. She even showed me which platform to go to. I felt grateful. This small kindness made me feel less alone. On the train arrived with a soft sound. I got on and found a seat near the window. I put my suitcase next to my legs and sat down. As the train started moving, I looked outside. I saw buildings, roads, trees, and small cafes. The city looked beautiful. Not perfect, but real. Alive. I thought about my family. I miss them already. But I also felt proud. I had worked hard for this opportunity. I had studied late nights. I had filled many forms. I had waited for the scholarship result for months. And now I was here, in Italy, starting a new life. Arriving in the city. When the train stopped at the main station, the place was crowded. People were in a hurry. Some were running to catch another train. Some were standing in long lines. I walked out of the station slowly. Tall buildings were around me. There were small shops near the street. I could smell coffee from a cafe nearby. The smell was strong and warm. I felt tired, but also excited. I wanted to sit down and rest, but I knew I had to go to the university office first to register. Going to the university area. I checked the map on my phone. I needed to take a bus to the university area. The bus stop was a few minutes away. At the bus stop, I stood with other students. Some of them were carrying backpacks. Some were talking about classes and exams. I wondered if they were also international students. When the bus arrived, I got on. I found a seat near the window again. I liked watching the city move around me. As the bus moved, I felt my tiredness more clearly. My eyes felt heavy, but my heart felt light. I was nervous about the registration process. What if I didn't understand something? What if I made a mistake? But I reminded myself, it's okay to be confused on the first day. Everyone is confused on the first day. First look at the university. After some time, I got off the bus. I stood in front of a large university building. The building was old and beautiful. The walls were light brown. The doors were tall and heavy. Students were entering and leaving the building. Some were laughing. Some were on their phones. Some were sitting on the steps, talking. I stood there for a moment and looked at the building. This was where I would study. This was where I would spend the next 2 years of my life. I felt nervous, but I also felt hopeful. I took a deep breath. I held my documents tightly in my hands. Then I started walking toward the university entrance. Inside, my new life was waiting. New people, new challenges, new dreams. But I didn't know yet that today was only the beginning of many unexpected moments. Ending of episode 1. To be continued.